to the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome in. Happy Friday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. We are here for you. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel as well. And make sure you are subscribing and liking and following and all those great things on your favorite podcast app as well. And of course, those 5-star reviews on Spotify or Apple Podcasts are always appreciated. Also, the tailgate just got word, the takeover rather, the Hawks Arizona takeover Friday, February 10th. We're going to be there. We're going to be there with the listeners. Tickets are on sale now. There are 3 tickets left. 3. So if you've been waiting, you need to jump on and get these tickets now. It includes a ticket to the game to see the Hawks and Coyotes in the 300 level. It includes a CHGO hockey t-shirt, very much in the style of the CHGO football shirt I'm wearing right here. In that style, you're going to get a free drink at the Goose Island Bar and awesome vibes. What more do you need? It's a great deal. And if you are a diehard, as always, you'll save 20% on the event. Go to allchgo.com for info on how to sign up to be a diehard and info on how to purchase tickets. It's going to be a wonderful time. Again, 3 tickets remain for our takeover. So make sure you jump in. Make sure you join us. Don't miss out. This is the fastest selling event in CHGO history. And we want to thank everybody who did buy tickets already. It's great. It's a huge honor. Thank you for doing that. But make sure we don't miss out on those last 3 because they're going to be gone very fast.
Maybe by the end of this show.
That could be. Definitely. So as we wrapped up last night's post-game show, late night, we sort of had the thought of, what are we going to talk about? Who knows? Well, Jonathan Toews spoke to Mark Lazerus, and boy, I feel like I know less now than I did 24 hours ago about what Jonathan Toews wants to do.
Yeah, just about the same. Who knows? It's a big old shoulder shrug up above your ears, shoulder shrug. I mean, it's honestly like at this point, I just want some closure. I just want to either know, are you in or are you out? Like I just want to know. I reading through Mark's post, his article, his interview with Toews, he laid it out very well. How every answer felt like gave a polar opposite feeling of he's gonna stay, he's gonna go, he's gonna stay, it exactly felt like that reading through what Toews was saying. And I don't think that both Kane and Toews are taking the same route in making this decision. I think one of the things that Toews said that I think probably differentiates from the two in a sense is how much his time away from playing hockey changed how he felt and how he thought about being competitive and being a hockey player. When he missed the 2020-21 season, I think that makes a difference. And Kane's probably thinking, as a changed person than who signed the contract extension now that he's got, a growing family and everything. But it's definitely they're not the same guys that won the cups. They don't have the same, mentality makeup that they did a couple 10 years ago. So it's going to be interesting, but I just want an answer.
Yeah, it's just, I think everybody kind of feels that way. Like, let's just get it over with. Let's share some of the quotes before we get too far ahead of ourselves here. First and foremost, the captain talks about his future in Chicago, and he says, quote, "I have my feelings, but at this point, I still want to keep that to myself and have my own process about it. I'm not really at the point where I'm talking about it yet. There's still a lot of things that can transpire over the next month or whatever. Let's just let things play out." Okay, so in like the same 2 sentences, he said, "I've kind of made up my mind," right? That's how I read that. Like, I know what I want to do, but I'm not ready to tell anybody yet. but things can change. Okay, great. I don't know what can happen between now and then that will change his mind, whether he's decided he wants to stay, he wants to go. I don't think it's all tied to Patrick Kane, but I don't know. You have to feel like those two know what the others are thinking.
For sure.
Like, just I know they're not as tight of chums as we imagine them to be, or as they're sort of hyped up to be sometimes. But man, they've been teammates forever, and especially since they're kind of making this decision together, you think that would play a role, and they'd at least have some sort of indication on what the other is thinking. I don't know. It's just again, like I think we had this conversation last week. Maybe he just doesn't know yet. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't.
I mean, March, this deadline, this isn't something that was just dropped on their lap last week. Oh, by the way, the trade deadline's coming up in a month, and
right,
you want to move? They've known this was coming for years.
Yeah,
and they've earned the right to make whatever decision they want and take the time. But at some point, I'm tired of, we got to let this play out. What are we letting play out right now? 12 more Blackhawks losses?
Yeah, right.
Make up the mind already.
Yeah. So if they
I don't think that's too much to ask for.
Yeah. So if they go on a winning streak here, he's going to change his mind a little bit. It's just
right.
It's very weird, and I know Kyle Davidson has been as respectful as possible throughout this entire thing and saying, "Hey, we're not going to come to you unless you come to us. We'll have our meeting and we'll wait. We'll be patient." They keep moving the goalposts on that meeting in general. So Kyle Davidson, patient. Okay, yeah, we'll wait till the middle of February when we're 3 weeks away from the trade deadline. Like, he has been more than respectful and more than patient and more maybe frankly than he should be. But again, if there's two guys that have earned this, it's them. But man, it's got to be frustrating for everybody. And it's not just Davidson, it's Danny Wirtz and Jamie Faulkner and all the people that work for Kyle Davidson wanting to know, how do we approach this deadline? It changes everything if those guys decide to stay.
And I'm sure there's at least a dozen teams that are not the Blackhawks that are trying to figure out what either of those guys are going to do, because it changes how they approach the trade deadline. Because injuries, we can talk about it later. There's some significant injuries that are going to impact what teams do at the trade deadline. Happening already have happened and may happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, that's just the name of the game in hockey. You can't. It's very rare for teams to go without having a major contributor go down for a significant time. There's going to be teams that need an injury replacement. There's going to be teams that already we know that they need someone to play a role that either of those guys can do. We know that Colorado needs someone to be a second line center. We know that now we know Carolina needs a guy on the wing who can score goals and be offensive. Like, there's teams out there with needs that both of Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane can fit. So it's not just the Blackhawks need to know what they're doing for their own sake. Other teams need to know for their own sake as well. And they may not be the first two guys off the trade board, but they're part of the first few dominoes that are gonna set the market as trades start trickling in.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating. It is. I don't want to overstate it, but it's sort of crippling to the front office. Of look, if those are our two biggest assets, then great. But maybe it ends up that our two biggest assets are Jake McCabe and Max Domi, or whatever two you want to name. But it changes the whole approach. Like, if those guys are staying, maybe say, okay, well, maybe we'll move out some other guys now that we weren't, to try to make up for what we thought we were going to get at this deadline. I don't know. I think waiting till mid-February for an answer, and who knows if that will even be it, because the balls kept moving. And I want to share another quote here. Toews talks about, I don't know, how do we word this, Lawrence? It's just kind of like his time playing in Chicago, right? Saying about sort of the idea of staying. And Toews says, I mean, what's so bad about it? I could be in a lot of worse places. I'm pretty thankful for what's happened in my career. That's the biggest thing. Whatever happens, I can look back fondly and just be so grateful for everything I've had in Chicago. I'm not too worried about it. One way or another, I'll make the best of whatever situation comes up. So he's sort of in the middle of the conversation. It's almost as if he's having the conversation with himself. Like, oh, it'd be nice to win. But I had a good time here. But, you never know. And my memories will be great either way. But, it's not too bad here. Look, I feel for these guys. I know that this is a very tough, life-altering decision. But you've had enough time. And I do think at some point here, Kyle Davidson has to say, fellas, can we set a date? How about February 4th? That's a month till the deadline. That is a fair day for everybody. It gives Davidson time to do what he has to do and do his due diligence before. But the middle of February, when the deadline is the 3rd of March, that's not enough time. It's just not. And I feel like right now they have no idea what those guys are thinking, and it's tough. It's how do you do your job as a GM without knowing what trade chips you have when we're this close to the deadline, 5 weeks away?
Right.
It's almost that like Toews doesn't want to upset anybody. Like he knows he wants to get traded, but if he says it, he's worried that like there'll be fan outrage and people will be mad at him. And sure, some people will be upset, but overall, I think the majority of Blackhawk fans will be okay with, hey, Jonathan Toews wants to go chase a Stanley Cup and what might be his last season. No one's going to get angry about that. It will be weird, but I think most people have forgotten already about Duncan Keith's lone season in the Oilers. No one's going to remember that when at his Hall of Fame speech. Like, it is what it is. If you want to go chase another cup, that's your right. Go for it. I don't think anybody's going to get mad at it. He's kind of like saying, yeah, I think I want to get traded, but I really love it here. And please don't be angry with me. Like, it's just like a guy that takes forever to break up with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, in the article, he talks about, contemplating retirement, and does not seem like he's anywhere near that, according to his perspective. And, he Duncan Keith too. That was part of his, part of the discussion as well is what Keith did, what his time towards the end of his time with Chicago was like, and the conversations that they had. So he's I'm sure bounced some ideas and had some conversations with Duncan Keith about, making the decision to say, hey, I'm not going to retire I'm not going to finish my career as a Blackhawk, and to go somewhere else where, maybe one more cup run is in the cards. And it almost, got to the Western Conference Final for Keith with the Oilers, but yeah, it wasn't, it's not going to be, he didn't have a career resurgence and was one of the leaders of the Oilers. He was he was a shell of the artist formerly known as Duncan Keith. But so I wonder if there's a part of Toews that is just like, look, like he, as we have said before, and I'm sure he probably understands this too, like his legacy as an NHL player is cemented. Like no one, if he played another 3, 4, 5 years and was garbage on a bunch of as a journeyman or something like that, no one's going to care. They're going to remember Jonathan Toews as the Blackhawks captain, as, Captain Serious, 3 cups, all of that. That's his lasting memory. So I think he understands that. And I wonder if he says like, okay, well, I've had it really good here in Chicago. I know Chicago. I like Chicago. I like the organization. I don't need to prove anything else in my career to prove that I'm, one of the best players of my generation, and one of the best players in Blackhawks history. Doesn't have to prove any of that. So I wonder if there is a part of him that says like, maybe, the grass is green right here, and I don't need to see if it's any greener anywhere else. And when he says like, trying to see if something happens one way or the other to change his mind, I wonder if that's more or less he has 1 or 2 teams in mind that he would even want to go to, and kind of seeing how their situations play out in the next month. And even if he would want to, say, okay, I want to go to either Colorado or Winnipeg, or just, throwing it out there. I wonder if he's waiting on anything that happens with those teams to then make his decision. again, this is all speculation, but it's just we're at the point now where we're trying to pick the brains of these guys because it's been almost a full year of will they, won't they, what's going to happen.
Right. Well, Mongo in the chat says Toews just wants to hear offers. Well, he's not going to hear any offers until he gets Kyle Davidson the okay to trade him.
Right.
So that's, you know what I mean? Like maybe that's true, but until you say, okay, yeah, I'm interested in being traded. And look, even if he says, yes, if you find a deal that works for both sides, I will accept a trade. It doesn't mean he has to accept a trade, right? Like, hey, go see what you can find. And if Kyle Davidson comes back and says, I got Dallas and I got Buffalo, and Toews is like, nah, those two teams are not on, I don't think they have a chance to win, or whatever his justification might be. He's not obligated to accept the trade once he says, I'm open to a trade. With a full movement clause, he can wait until he gets the destination he wants and say, yeah, I'll go play for, like Mario said, Colorado, Winnipeg. Maybe he gives Kyle Davidson a list and says, these are the teams I would consider at this point. Feel free to come with me with any other offers, and maybe we can talk about it. But these are like the 2 or 3 that I'm really interested in playing for. But until he says that to Kyle Davidson's not going to go to Toews and say, hey, I've got offers for you from teams A, B, and C. Because he has said very explicitly, I'm not going to even pursue the trade until I'm given the okay by both guys.
Right.
Yeah, and this is going to affect the job because other teams are already doing their due diligence. Kevin Adams of the Sabres has already admitted he's reached out to the Sharks, just kicking the tires on Timo Meier. GMs want to get a feel for what it's going to cost them so they can weight values on other trades. And if they don't know what an expectation, if they even want, a Toews or Kane wants to come to their team, they may just move on and say, we're not even going to bother with that. We don't have the time to come up with this, because if we wait around for Patrick Kane to say, I don't want to go to the Sabres, then we may miss out on the guys on the market that are in the same category. Then we get nobody. And then we look like buffoons and we don't have an added piece to our playoff puzzle. There's so many dominoes that can fall here by just keep on waiting and waiting and waiting. I mean, I have to believe they have a decision already. What's 3 more weeks of bad Blackhawks hockey going to really change for these guys? I know it's not an easy decision. I know it's picking up and moving to another team for an NHL superstar, slightly different than you or I getting a job across the country that we have to move to. Slightly less stressful, but it's stressful nonetheless. And I know it's a hard choice, but I have to believe these guys know what they want to do. So why can't we just finalize it? You want to stay? Great. You want to go? Cool. Let's make it let's make it where you want to go. And let's just get this moving already, one way or the other.
We've got one more wishy-washy Jonathan Toews quote to share with you. Again, this is from Mark Lazerus in The Athletic today. Make sure you check out the whole thing because it's really good. Toews says, quote, but then you've got to remind yourself that the grass isn't always greener. I'm pretty lucky to be a part of the Blackhawks family here. It's not just the organization. It's yet training staff and our athletic trainers, our equipment guys, our strength coach, all those guys. So we've become family, and I don't really know what I'd do without those guys taking care of me. Once they're gone, I realize I'm on my own almost. Little things like that run through your mind. And I think part of that, what he's saying is, and he's maybe saying it, not saying it, is here, he and Toews are the guys. They get the most attention. Yeah, sorry, Toews and Kane. They get the most attention. They get the most care. They carry the most authority in that locker room. But if Jonathan Toews walks in with Nathan McKinnon and Gabriel Landeskog and Cale Makar, he's just another guy. If Patrick Kane goes in with Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci and whatever, right, and Brad Marchand, he's just another guy. And that feels like, based on that quote, that's kind of a thing too, where he gets 100% attention when he wants it here from a trainer, from whoever. Other cities, he's going to be just another guy because they don't have the affinity and the affection for him that because of the Stanley Cups that they have here. There he is a third-line center, a second-line center with a really great hockey past. And that's it. He is not an icon in those cities, and I think that might weigh on him too.
I mean, imagine moving to a completely new town as like a high school senior and like you got no friends. You don't know where anything is in the city. Like it's definitely a shock to the system of, you know, what you've known in life. So I mean, I think that's a completely fair consideration. And there's plenty of instances of established future Hall of Fame players going to different teams after having long, extensive careers with one team and not being the same guy, and on or off the ice. So I think that's a fair something that he needs to consider as well. And is that I feel like is more of an off the ice kind of comfort level. Like, do you feel like you can be comfortable in a completely new city that you do not know very well, being surrounded by completely new people? It's a big change.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about, is it time for the Blackhawks to move on and let the past be the past? And that's a hard decision, and that's obviously really hard for Jonathan Toews here, bro. What he's saying, like, he's holding on to the glory days. He doesn't want that to come to an end, and I can understand that. Everybody's gone through a situation in their life, a job they loved, or whatever, where they're like, man, those were the best days of my life, and if I ask for a trade, it's just another reminder that they're over. And it's hard. It's very hard. And, you know, the Blackhawks are trying to make that decision too. When's the right time to just put that era in the past? And it sounds like they're struggling with it too. And, you know, all I know is I really hope that this whole situation in the first full year of Kyle Davidson's tenure as Blackhawks general manager has instilled the policy of no trade clauses ever given out in his career, so he never has to go through this again.
With the exception of Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we'll also fans here in 2024.
Right, though, but you would never want to trade those guys.
Well, you never know.
You never thought you'd want to trade Jonathan Toews or Patrick Kane.
Well, you know, especially back to the
facetious.
Yeah, back to the creature comforts conversation. Especially important, I think, with Toews, because coming off, you know, his chronic fatigue syndrome, what he was dealing with, the long haul COVID stuff that he's been dealing with, he's got a staff there that understands exactly what he needs in his day-to-day maintenance, right? People have a very clear picture of what he went through a few years back. And it's actually linked in Lazerus's piece. And I went back and read it again today for the first time in a while. And I forgot, like, how harrowing and how isolated Jonathan Toews got during that, and the mental toll that took on him, where he wasn't responding to teammates and just was, you know, living alone in an undisclosed location, dealing with his health issues. I don't know. This is the stuff that maybe we don't think about enough when it comes to these guys, and especially somebody like Toews, who has gone through some pretty serious health things before. He does have his crew here, and he does have the people that know how to keep him playing better than anybody. And again, if he goes to Colorado or goes wherever, are they going to give him the same level of commitment to keeping him on the ice? Or are they just going to run him into the ground, say, thanks for your service, you're a free agent now, peace out, right?
Right.
I get that. I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, there's definitely a whole section of the off ice, you know, mental health aspect of it, and for a guy like Toews, where, you know, before he missed that 2021 season, you know, he was like Mr. Hockey, Mr. Competitive, all of that, and when that's taken away from you, and you don't know what is going on with your body as a you know, early 30s, you know, very physically healthy guy, like, to not know what is going on with your body and not be in the environment that you have known for almost your entire life, and that is your comfort level, like that's heavy. And not to say that he's going to have hockey taken away from him again if he decides to you know, accept a trade and go somewhere else, but it's that environment of like you said, like knowing people are going to know how to help you, how to take care of you, knowing that, hey, I need, you know, when I'm doing off ice workouts, I need to do this instead of this, and everyone understands that, or you know, maintenance days or whatever. I don't know. I think there's definitely a big component of that that also has to be, taken into consideration as well.
Well, there's also for him probably the fear of if I leave, and chances are whatever other NHL team will be able to help him work through his stuff, right? Like they're all have, for the most part, like very, good medical teams and things like that, and he can communicate the plan. But he's probably got the fear is, what if I go, and what if these doctors or these team, trainers and physicians, whatever, don't understand my thing and they can't help me, and all of a sudden I start feeling like crap again, and I go back to where I was, and then I get that is scary. And you could again reading that column from, I think it was a 2021, where he talked about everything he went through. You can almost like read the fear that he was feeling during that, not understanding what was happening to his body, where there were days he just didn't want to get out of bed, or he couldn't get out of bed, or he'd be on the ice for 10 minutes with his buddies and he'd have to say, I can't do this. And he would just leave. That's terrifying, especially to a guy like Toews, who for his entire career was the hardest working guy on and off the ice, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
For his body to turn on him like that, that's terrifying for him. Yeah. And any sort of step away from the complete comfort zone of Chicago and all the people in that bubble has to be scary for him. And yeah, chances are it'll be fine, but there's that little thing in the back of his mind probably that's saying, what if? Because look, whatever you think of the Blackhawks as a off-ice product, right? There's been myriad, crises and embarrassments and those sort of things. But for the most part, they are renowned as like the team with the best medical, the best trainers. Guys from other teams come here to train with Paul Goodman. We see Yasmani Grandal every week is training at Fifth Third Arena with Paul Goodman. Like the Hawks are incredibly respected as an organization for the resources the players get. We talked to Ryder Ralston at Notre Dame, who was a product of the Avalanche before he was traded to Chicago, and said it's night and day different between Chicago and Colorado in favor of the Hawks. The matter of attention that he gets as a prospect, the communication. The Hawks are a top-notch organization, and guess who knows that better than anybody? Jonathan Toews.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like, yeah, the medical stuff is probably a concern, but I with that, what you just said, there has to be detailed records of every workout Jonathan Toews has ever done and every supplement he was ever given and every post-game treatment. Like, I'm sure, like, it wouldn't be that big of a drop-off. Now, would he have that trust in a new team's medical staff? That it's more of a mental thing, as far I believe, than
right.
Yeah. Like, the records are there. I'm sure it's not just a little, manila folder that the doctor just writes something in pencil and then it goes from office to office like we have. I'm sure it's a freaking database. I mean, these guys have heart monitors in their shoulder pads that they remove every day and take data from. Like, I'm sure, he's not going to show up and the new doctor in Boston is going to be like, so Jonathan, tell me, what medications do you take? Like, so, but I think it's obviously a mental thing with Toews, and I 100,000,000,000% understand that as somebody who, the change is scary. It is super scary. Sometimes you're forced into change. I had to go through that in my life, and it was terrifying every day. And it just, I'd never want to go through a situation like that again. And when you're the one that gets to choose if you want a life-altering change in your life, it's hard. Change is scary, and I get it, and I understand. But I also just want this to be over one way or the other.
Right.
Like, it's all scary. I'm on board with you guys, and it's a hard decision. Just make it already, for the love of pizza.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a very long time to contemplate the future. I think it doesn't need. I can't imagine it needs these next extra 2 weeks to kind of put the final details together. Like, it's you gotta make a decision at at some point, and you got to make sure you're not screwing Kyle Davidson. Like I said, like they can't go to mid to late February and say, I don't know. Like, no, he needs to know.
Well, and here's hoping too that Kyle Davidson has said, oh yeah, we're not going to pursue anything, and just has a desk full of offers, just waiting for for the okay.
Right.
Maybe Kyle Davidson has finally mastered and become the first NHL executive, mastered the art of not having any leaks out of his office. And he has his decision, and he doesn't want all this stuff to get out there. And he just says when he gets the trade, they just say they've been traded with no, hey, they've waived their no movement clause. And then we get weeks and weeks of speculation. Maybe he's figured out a way that no other GM has never been able to figure out, how to not get leaks out of his office. That's probably not true, but maybe there's something to that.
Well, this is a good time to promote Monday's show, because one of the national sources best connected to the Blackhawks is Emily Kaplan. And she's going to join us Monday at 2:30. ESPN's Emily Kaplan will be on the show. And, for a lot of the end of the He Who Shall Not Be Named era into the Kyle Davidson era, she was one of the first people to be breaking news on the Blackhawks angle. So it'll be interesting, just her experience in terms of, I know she can't tell us specifically, who she talks to, but hey, has it been quieter in general from, the Blackhawks perspective? His source has been a little bit more tight-lipped, because I'll tell you, I don't have any like Emily Kaplan does, but I have a few, and they all must have changed their numbers apparently, because I haven't heard shit in weeks.
There's a difference though, man. When you hate your boss and your office is a shit show, you're more willing to badmouth it. When you like your boss and things are running smoothly, you're gonna keep your mouth shut because you're happy and content.
That's true.
That's a good point. No rage, just roids. You got to throw a buck in the swear jar there, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you got to give us a $1 super chat now.
Yep. You owe us a super chat.
You can Venmo it to @Mario-Tirabassi on Venmo. We'll take care of it.
Cash app. All right. Why don't we let's?
I don't know if that's my Venmo. I don't think.
Knock out some copy here, and we'll get to the others. We'll give some final thoughts on Jonathan Toews, and we've got some news around the league that will definitely impact the Hawks at the trade deadline as well.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Greg?
Yeah, sure. Why not? It's first on the read list. We'll talk to you about some FOCO, and regardless on who is here after the March 3rd trade deadline or not, if you're in the market for some new Blackhawks gear, then you need to check out our friends over at FOCO. FOCO has got you covered from the United Center to your living room, the north or south side, with hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. You might even be able to find some banana hammocks out there left. I'm sure they'll have those stocked back before summer gets here. So get decked out like your favorite Blackhawks player with apparel from the leader in sports, merch, and collectibles, FOCO. Looking for the perfect gift for your hockey fan in your life? Well, FOCO's got you covered with hoodies to fight that cold Lake Michigan wind that is making things so much chillier these days. So check out FOCO, FOCO.com, or click on the link in the podcast description below, wherever you're viewing or listening to this. And for all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO and you will get 10% off.
You know what's a beautiful FOCO product that I have been getting a lot of use out of at the house, and my wife has as well, are those oversized like Sherpa hoodies that are also like blankets. They got those. Of course, it's the Blackhawks one, and it is like you just throw it on like a hoodie, and you're just enveloped in a nice warm blanket. It's perfect in the winter. So definitely get yourself one of those if you are feeling the chill.
Our guy Lawrence has one of those at the office that I believe he uses when it gets a little drafty from the windows.
Yeah, Kevin's got one too. I thought about trying to steal one one of the nights, but I did not. But hey, if you're if you need that little extra boost from FOCO and their Sherpa hoodie, I don't know the exact term of what it is, but it's it's warm and nice. But if you need an extra boost from natural energy, if you need a little extra boost to your immune system, that's necessary this time of year. Get yourself some AG1 from Athletic Greens, the formula designed to improve your gut health, optimize your immune system, and give you more natural energy. In just one scoop of AG1, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens that help you start or end your day right. And if you have different dietary restrictions, whatever it is, if you eat gluten-free or dairy-free, or you've decided to go keto or eat vegan, whatever it is, you're able to incorporate AG1 into those diets and into your life, no matter how busy you might be. Right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Again, it's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's all you need. There's no need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it even easier, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year subscription, or 1-year supply rather, of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right. Make sure you smash that like button for us if you're watching on YouTube. And we got a little more info on our takeover. They have added a few more tickets. So there are more than 3 available, not many, still under 10, and some more details coming out. It is 2 free beers or wines.
Oh,
yes, at the Goose
oh
Island,
yeah,
at the United Center. So not only do you get a ticket to the game, not only do you get a free t-shirt, not only do you get to hang out with us the entire game, you're going to get 2 free drinks at the Goose Island Brew Pub inside the United Center. So go to allchgo.com to purchase your tickets now. We are sort of in real time, like adjusting this as we go. Like, okay, it's selling well. Let's add a few more here. Let's add a few more there. But again, we are still under 10 tickets available for this event on February 10th. Blackhawks, Coyotes, it is the Tank Bowl. It is the Tank Over at the United Center. Make sure you join us out there. It's going to be a great time. And then, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, when you look at it, you're essentially getting the game for free for the price of 2 beers and that shirt. That's what you're paying for. So you're getting the game between the Hawks and the Coyotes for free right now. What a deal.
that's a great deal.
Yep, that is again in that diehard membership that saves you 20% on everything. It pays for itself after an event or two. Once you get the free shirts and everything, you're good to go. It is a great deal, and it keeps us thriving and running and all those great things. So if you enjoy what we do here, please consider becoming a diehard. allchgo.com. Lawrence, there was someone in the chat earlier that mentioned this potentially having an impact on Jonathan Toews' legacy and how he's remembered in Chicago. I'm not sure who said it. There it is. It's from Mitch.
Yeah, I think it was this. It does end sort of whatever. You can start.
He says, doesn't the cemented legacy take a hit with all the pissing and moaning coupled with the back and forth regarding his future? I know it's changed the way I think about him to a certain degree. That's understandable. But remember how the last few years of Brent Seabrook here, right? Unhappy, did not like the coach, was definitely not playing well, was thought of as an albatross, on the ice because he was not a good player anymore, making a ton of money.
He was getting scratched.
Yeah. And as soon as he left and then started coming back for Toews' 1000th game and Hossa night and all that stuff, people forgot about it and they went absolutely bonkers when he, came on the ice and when he's around. So I don't think that you have to worry about that with Jonathan Toews. Maybe there'll be like a little bit of a short term, like, oh, glad that's over or whatever. But I think long term, you will forget about the bad stuff very, very quickly. I mean, just think about, we did a show last year during for the 1000th game, and all year we'd been hard on him on and off the ice. He wasn't playing well. He was saying dumb shit. But for that night, we're like, hey, let's put this aside and remember how great this guy was. I think, and Kaylin says it in the chat, I doubt in 5 years anyone will remember any of this. It's probably true. And Jonathan Toews and Kane will have their numbers retired forever, and people are going to love them in Chicago forever. And you also can't worry about that. You got to, as a GM, you've got to worry about what's best for the franchise.
Right.
Well, time heals all wounds. People will get over it. People will just remember the 3 Stanley Cups and all the winning. I mean, look, guys from the 85 Bears haven't been able to buy a drink or a dinner in this town for almost 40 years. And some of those guys, not all those guys finished their career with the Bears. You know, Jim
Right.
McMahon went to play, and Steve McMichael both played for the Packers, but nobody remembers that.
Right.
So, you know,
Packers and Vikings for McMahon.
yeah, exactly. So, you know, guys switch teams. It's inevitable for guys to have careers with only one team. You know what's going on in Pittsburgh with Crosby and Letang and Malcolm all likely to finish their careers and play for only one team. That is so rare.
Yeah.
So rare in this
Very
day and
rare.
age of free agency, especially in the NHL with salary caps. It is so rare. Guys switch teams. It's part of the business aspect of sports. And I know fans hate the business aspect because it infringes on their fandom and takes away their favorite players and all that stuff. And it's all legitimate. But when it's all said and done, regardless of who Jonathan Toews finishes this season with, he is going to forever be one of the greatest Blackhawks of all time, and that's how people are going to remember him. And all this stuff from the last couple of years, the frustration, the terrible quotes, the stuff, you know, nobody will remember this. Kalen says 5 years. It's going to be a lot quicker than that.
5 months.
Before people are going to forget about it, as rightly so. His legacy is untarnished. How many people remember Michael Jordan playing with the Washington Wizards?
Oof.
Not many.
I mean,
That
you
happened.
remember it because it was super weird, but
Right.
yes, yeah.
But
It's
nobody
an afterthought.
thought Michael Jordan should get inducted into the Hall of Fame as a Washington Wizard.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So
He played 3
happens.
seasons there.
That long?
Yeah.
Jesus. See, nobody
crazy.
remembers that.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was
exactly.
like 5 games.
Yeah,
Well, look, if Wayne Gretzky can get traded, anybody can.
Multiple times.
multiple times. Yeah.
If Gordie Howe can go play in a completely different league, it's okay.
Yeah, and I mean, think about some of the, you know, the Blackhawks, you know, greats and legends over the years that didn't have the greatest, you know, exit from the team for whatever reason, and how, you know, revered that they are remembered by the fan base for their time in Chicago. I don't think it's going to be any different with these two.
I don't think so either.
Guys, just before you move on here, I wanted to let you know that No Range did do as you asked and threw us a dollar. Thank you, No Range. Much
That
appreciated.
is-
I see it in my Venmo here now.
Paying your fines. Way to be a upstanding citizen.
That's right. All right, we got some news from the NHL in terms of potentially impacting the trade deadline. I think everybody knows Cole Caulfield out for the season for Montreal. That's going to hurt them. He was on the, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but he wore one of those giant hats.
I saw that.
He was watching.
Love it.
That's
I
just a
need
normal
one.
hat to him.
I was gonna say he borrowed my Cubs hat and went to practice. But they said the Canadians literally took his skates and sticks away, so he wouldn't be tempted to go shoot and skate and everything. He's out for the year with a shoulder injury.
Didn't he have surgery?
Or
Or he needs surgery?
I don't know if it's happened yet, but yes, he needs surgery,
okay.
and they're taking everything away that could potentially hurt him. Because he says if it was like a playoff year, he could make it through the playoffs and then handle it in the offseason. But
Yeah.
you know, that he wants to be full go for next year. But they literally, like a little kid, took his toys away so he doesn't hurt himself.
He was on a 40-goal pace, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, they've had some rough luck up there. Slafkovsky, the number 1 pick from last year, has dealt with injuries and missed time, and they've had a tough go of it. And that's probably the right move. Shut them down. And
Yeah.
hey, let's maybe increase our chances to get that Connor Bedard guy. There's no sense further risking injury here and missing you next year.
Yeah. And look, you can put the entire franchise on the shoulders of Kirby Dach for the next 15 years. So don't worry about
Future
it.
Hall of Famer Kirby Dach.
Yeah.
The other one is the already injury-riddled and terrible Columbus Blue Jackets. Gustav Nyquist is out indefinitely as well. We don't know. Obviously, it's indefinite, so I don't know if I need to say we don't know how long it will be, but he's one of their more effective forwards, and that's another team that will impact the tank for sure. Them
And
get worse.
That's interesting because that also would have been a guy that I think would have been on the move at the trade deadline were he healthy. So as far as draft capital, that's something off the board for Columbus to have in play. So that's interesting for their future direction. And And yeah, it's gonna help them in the tank standings.
Yeah, it's I don't know. As I'm looking ahead to, and this is the other thing, like as we try to project the tank and where the teams are going to finish, you feel good about the Hawks' chances of finishing last, but if Toews and Kane stay, you don't feel as good about it, right? And
I don't know. They're 4-1 without them.
They're here now with them now. Like,
yeah,
if they stick around, you got to assume either both of Athanasiou and Domi find their ways out. Maybe McCabe too. Like, there's going to be pieces besides those two that will be gone that will, make this team worse in the short term.
Yeah. Well, there's also a small chance, but maybe if once Kane and Toews make that decision, and if the decision is to stay, that weight is off their back, the distraction is gone, and they can just focus on playing. And you might see a little jump from both of them, but that's really projecting. And of course, the other bit of news, not that it affects the tank, but it certainly affects the trade deadline. Austin Matthews is out at least 3 weeks with I think was it an ankle? I forgot.
Ankle.
Yeah, it was a sprain. Yeah,
ankle sprain. So that might give them a little more flexibility depending on what they choose to do with him, because that matchup's kind of already set.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The wording in the press release was at minimum 3 weeks. So
right.
it could trickle into or past the trade deadline, which if I off the top of my head, I don't know their LTIR situation, but if they were to put him there, there's how much money does he make? $13 million off your cap. And you have to be cap compliant by the trade deadline.
Yeah, he's 11.64 and change for Matthews.
As we've seen with Tyler Johnson, those high ankle sprains can be tricky. It's basically cost Johnson almost the entire season, that ankle injury. They're all different. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but this could be one of those things where the Leafs say, let's Nikita Kucherov you, and we'll make sure your ankle is 100%. We're just going to put you on LTIR for the rest of the season. Go get a stud, high-priced guy at the trade deadline, and then bring you back for the playoffs where there's no salary cap. We've seen it before. It happened here in Chicago with Patrick Kane in 2015. That was a more serious injury than an ankle sprain, but not saying that they're already conniving that way, but I wouldn't be mad at them if they didn't, because other teams have used that loophole in the past. So you can't get mad at the Leafs if they try to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane and Jake McCabe to the Leafs. Do it.
Their IR situation, by the way, TJ Brody is on injured reserve at the moment. He makes $5 million. Jake Muzzin is on long-term injured reserve. He makes 5.625. Nicholas Robertson is under 800K, and so is Victor Mete. So the big ones on IR is Muzzin on long-term injured reserve and TJ Brody on injured reserve. So
and Muzzin, as far as I understand, his season's over.
I believe that's true too.
Yeah. Interesting.
Look, that is something that could benefit the Hawks, right? Because that's a team with some cap restraints, right? With Matthews, still on the roster officially. If they move into LTIR, you said it. McCabe and Kane can go to Toronto, and Kyle Dubas better be ready to give up the first round pick then, damn it.
Yeah.
And Matthew Nyes.
Yeah. And Matthew Nyes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're talking, see?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be, if the Hawks eat half the deal on both those guys, it's very affordable for them.
Patrick Kane and Jake McCabe for $7 million.
Yep. And they'd still have money they would still have money to add.
Right.
To stay on long term. You could throw Toews in there too, almost.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Hey, just so we can put it in the title of the video, the Blackhawks and Maple Leafs, best friends at the trade deadline.
How would that feel though if Toews
Greg would hate it.
I know Greg would hate it. Greg, would you rather have it be the Rangers or the Leafs?
The Leafs. Screw New York.
I love your hatred for New York. It sustains me.
Because even if they go to the Leafs, they'll still find a way to choke it away. So I'm not worried about that. Screw New York. They don't deserve nothing.
Funny, we were having a conversation. Me and Hope were having a conversation at lunch today about the drinking water in New York. Just very random. I guess it's very good because it's from the Catskills or whatever. And I'm like, Greg wouldn't drink that. That was the first thing in my head. Greg would reject the New York water. Screw that water.
Screw that arrogant, pompous water.
Get him some liquid death.
You think you're better than me, water?
Right down the toilet you go, New York water.
That's right. And hopefully right down the toilet, my money doesn't go this weekend because it's the conference championship games. There's 4 NFL teams left and, of course, 2 conference championship games. Only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Listen up. Listen to those details. You bet $5, you're going to get $200 in your account and free bets instantly. If you're not a new customer, you can still feel the conference championship thrills with stepped-up same-game parlays. Take your shot at an even bigger NFL payout and boost your winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 on the conference championships and get $200 in free bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details. And with that, it's Thursday. That means it is time for the DraftKings pick of the week. Greg?
Yes. And we're going to go with the NHL since we're on before games start. Usually we're doing this in a post-game show, and it kind of hinders our NHL betting. But we're going to do one of those fun same-game parlays for the aforementioned Maple Leafs game against the Ottawa Senators tonight. The first game without Austin Matthews. I'm liking the Senators, even though the game's in Toronto. So we're going with a fun little 3-leg same-game parlay. The Ottawa Senators on the money line, an odd number of goals scored in the first period, and Alex DeBrincat as an anytime goal scorer. And that bet right there is a plus 800. So you bet $5 on that bet, you're getting $45 back. That's pretty good odds. So if Alex DeBrincat scores in the first period and the Ottawa Senators win 1-0 tonight, winner, chicken dinner. So that is our DraftKings pick of the week. Senators on the money line, odd number of goals scored in the first, and Alex DeBrincat goal, plus 800 odds.
Love it.
Not to confuse anybody, but today's Friday.
It is Friday.
Whatever.
It is show 4. Hey, everyone, it's show number 4, so it's the pick of the week.
Honestly, guys, I don't know what day it is anymore.
No,
I haven't known what day of the week it is since March 4th of 2022. I just know, is it a game day? Is it a show day? Or is it an off day? That's all that's all on my calendar is.
Totally worth being when.
You know, it's not. Yeah. Jake does a good job. He has that little calendar that he always flips the days over, and sometimes Mario will do it when he walks in.
I do it a lot.
I feel like you need to turn and look at that, Greg. I know we're not in the office today, but maybe that'll help with the days.
Yeah, well, when you have to watch 82 games of this hockey team, your brain turns into mush, and you forget what day of the week it is.
I mean, yeah, that's true. My brain's mush too. Okay, that's fine.
Fair enough. All right. And Charlie, the bacon guy, says he's taking our bet today. All right, Charlie.
All right.
You win. We all get free bacon.
Hey.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Not everybody.
Yeah. No.
What about me? Can I get some?
And Lawrence.
I'll bring you that.
We had I had the maple black pepper bacon on my BLT sandwiches the other night. Chef kiss. Amazing stuff.
That's great stuff. Yeah.
You know what else is great stuff?
What?
Saving money.
Yes, it is. Buy more bacon.
And energy. Yes. If you save money and energy, that means there's more energy to cook bacon and more money to buy it. And to save that money and energy, get yourself acquainted with our friends at ComEd, because they have the energy efficiency program committed to helping families and businesses in the communities that they serve save money and energy. They offer free facility assessments that can help find energy saving opportunities, whether it's lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment. Hey, speaking of cooking bacon, or industrial processes. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project cost, potential incentives, and simple payback. So don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips and to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz. And if you're ready to sign up, you can also call them at 855-433-2700 during normal business hours to speak with a ComEd Energy Efficiency Program representative. You can also email them at businessee@comed.com or request an assessment online at their website, comed.com/facility assessment. There are no shortage of ways to get in touch with ComEd.
All right. We've told you already. Monday, we're going to talk to Emily Kaplan from ESPN. Tuesday, we're going to talk to Shayna Goldman from The Athletic, who earlier this month projected Connor Bedard's career.
Whew.
So we're going to call it Salivation Tuesday. Shayna joins us to talk about what Connor Bedard could be as an NHL professional. Next week, also, we're going to take your trade proposals. Yeah, we're doing it. We're going to take your goofy ass trade proposals, tweet at us at CHGO_Blackhawks, or shoot us an email, blackhawks@allchgo.com. That's Blackhawks at ALLCHGO.com. That's the best way to get it. We'll put up a little pin tweet that says, hey, send us your best trade proposals, and we'll get to some of them on the show. So we're going to do that next week as well. So make sure you participate and get your trade ideas in.
And, make them reasonable. Don't tell us Seth Jones for Connor McDavid straight up. Like,
right.
No.
Realistic trade proposals.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like Jake McCabe, Patrick Kane, and Jonathan Toews to the Maple Leafs. Realistic.
With Austin Matthews on LTIR. And yes, of course.
Yes.
Do you guys want to take the last few minutes and ponder my shovel thought?
Yeah.
Do we have more to do?
It's got some injury news too from the Rockford perspective.
Oh, correct. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Greg.
let's do that real quick. And in addition to Tuesday, the second half of the show, I'm getting the CHGO logo tattooed live on the air. That should be fun. Yeah, while we draft all-star teams. So
where it will be tattooed, you'll have to tune in to find out.
Yes. There's gonna be a big table dragged out for that one. Ice Hogs news. The medical updates. Captain Garrett Mitchell underwent successful left shoulder surgery. He's out for the rest of the season. That's bad news. He's a great leader. I'm a big fan of Garrett Mitchell. He is a future assistant coach. There's no doubt, and maybe head coach. But that's a big loss of leadership, veteran player. And also forward Buddy Robinson, who we remember here. He was in the lineup opening night, I believe. Yes. He has a right wrist fracture and is expected to be out 6 weeks, retroactive to January 13th. So that's about at least another 4 weeks on the shelf for Buddy Robinson. So some big veteran losses for the Ice Hogs right now, and they've been struggling the last couple of weeks. So not good news, but the AHL season is long and weird, and you get Robinson back for the stretch run in the postseason.
Yeah, they are in Milwaukee tonight.
The right wrist injury is one I fear, my friends. That'd be a tough one. Mario, your shovel conversation is intriguing, and I don't want to waste it on 3 minutes of show. So let's use that as a tease for tomorrow's post-game show. Mario had a very intriguing thought whilst shoveling today.
Yeah.
And
it ties in well with a Oilers Blackhawks post-game show as well. Fits the theme.
Yes.
Sure did. So we will talk about that on tomorrow's post-game show. We're going to be remote on that one. We're going to do the show from home just like today, but we'll be here post-game as soon as the game ends. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks to Lawrence for putting the show together, as he always does. And we want to remind everybody we're presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. For Greg and Mario, do you have something to say, Lawrence? You're here.
Well, I just see Charlie, the bacon guy, saying if he gets a CHGO tattoo, does that mean he's a real diehard member for life for free?
It's not my decision.
I think that
is above our pay grade.
You have to go to Jake on that one, but it seems like a decent offer. I'll say that.
It can't hurt, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, the tattoo will hurt, but the perks won't.
It'll help your chances. Let's put it that way.
It'll hurt for a little bit.
All right.
And thanks, Thomas, and thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you,
smash that like button on your way out. We will talk to you tomorrow night on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.